Guys, Miss Klaus here. Today I'm going to do a little cooking. I'm going to make my very favorite recipe, which is my chocolate chip cookie recipe. My advanced art kids were actually tasked with illustrating one of their favorite recipes, and tomorrow we were supposed to bring in those recipes to share with everybody in class. So since we can't be there all together, I have asked some of my kids, since they have the time, to maybe that they can make their recipes at home, record their process either through video or through just a digital camera process and create a PowerPoint. And then they can share their recipes with us online. So I have all of my items set up here. I have my recipe that I'll post. And the first thing that we're going to do is mix our butter and our sugars together. So I have a 2/3 cup of a light brown sugar. I like that better than the dark brown sugar. And I'll throw that into my bowl. Then we do an equal part of a white granulated sugar. And I like a lot of sugar, so I actually heap up mine just a little bit. It'll be okay. It really doesn't matter that much. So then we do that. I like to blend all of my sugar together, break up that brown sugar, mix it all up. And then we are going to add, this is the best part, we're going to add 2 sticks of unsalted butter. If you have salted butter and that's all you have, you can use that. But when it calls for the salt in the recipe, when we mix in the flour, I would not put any more salt into your recipe. Okay? So then what I do is I just take that and use a nice strong fork and then blend and mix all of this butter and sugar together till you get a pretty good mix. Your blend should resemble something like this. And by the way, when you start to mix your ingredients, go ahead and set your oven on like 375 and get that preheated. All of my ingredients, I find that you get a more consistent cookie if all of your ingredients, your flour, your sugar, your eggs, your butter, everything is at room temperature. So that's been really important for getting a consistent cookie at the end of all this. So once you get that done, you have that mixed. Then you're going to mix in 2 whole eggs and whip that together. You can go ahead, at that point, you can go ahead and just mix in your 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring in there, more or less, depending on how much you like. And then beat those in there together. And just blend it pretty evenly, pretty well. It'll look a little bit gooey, but that's okay. And you have something that looks like that. Our next step is to go ahead and blend in our dry ingredients like our flour. I already have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and then I'm going to mix into that 1 teaspoon of baking soda. These are all ingredients that so many of you probably already have at home. You don't have to go out and buy anything special. And then just sprinkle that into your flour. And then you will have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And like I said, if you use salted butter, do not add salt to this. And sprinkle that on top. And then before we mix it in, I like to take a whisk or a fork or whatever you have handy. We're going to mix it up, evenly distribute all of that baking soda and salt. And then I just dump it just right into that mixture that I have and mix that. It's going to seem a little thick at first, but the more you mix and you mix and you mix, it's going to be just perfect. Okay, so now your mixture should look something like this. That's with all of your sugar, your eggs, your flour, your butter, baking soda, salt, all that good stuff is in there. And then the last thing that you mix in would be just a bag of, I use semi-sweet chocolate chip cookies. If you had a milk chocolate chip cookie or chocolate chips, you could do that. Just whichever one you like the best. And then you're going to mix that all up where it's all that chocolate is in there, all distributed together. And then we are going to get ready to put it in the oven. Okay, now we're going to use, I like to use a little cookie scoop like this and drop my scoops onto a tray. You want to leave at least a couple of inches between each cookie so that when they spread, they don't stick together. And if they do, it's okay. They're going to taste just as good, so don't let that bother you. The nice thing about this recipe, guys, is that you don't have to make up the whole batch every time. You can wrap this up. You can put it in the refrigerator, and then you can use it for, you can even go ahead and make up your cookies and then layer them in a bag and freeze them. What I would tell you to do is to get it all to room temperature before you put it in the oven. So if they're frozen, let them sit out for a while. If they're in the refrigerator, set it out for about an hour or so and just let it all come back to room temperature again so you'll get the most consistent cookie. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the oven. We're going to wait between 10 and 12 minutes. When I bake in the kitchen, I typically don't leave the kitchen. I just like to keep an eye on things. I can smell it and tell if it's ready or not. Typically, depending on what kind of cookie you want, I will look in here, and if they look like they're just almost done, go ahead and take those out of the oven because they're going to continue to cook for just a little bit on the pan, and then I'll show you what we do at the end of it. Okay, guys, they've been in there for about 8 minutes. They look a little bit puffy. This is my trick shot. I'm going to show you. It's really easy. It's what my husband calls my little secret, and I'll let you in on it. What I do is I take them out of the oven, and they're a little bit puffy. So you can see them. And I bang them on the counter a couple of times, and then I put them back in, and I let them finish cooking. Guys, it's been about 3 minutes later. They look like they are ready to come out. You can see that they're not really dark brown. They're just getting a little bit golden on the edges, and that is a perfect time to go ahead and take them off the pan. You'll notice that I have a liner on my pan. That is Reynolds No Stick Foil, and it does a really great job of releasing the cookie, and it really helps to not have a burnt edge. So this is what they look like, and then I'm going to go over here and put them on a cooling rack so they do not continue to cook. They slide right off like this, and then this is what they look like on the cooling rack. If I can do it, there you go. And that's how I make my chocolate cookies. I appreciate you watching. I'm a little camera shy, believe it or not. But if you try my recipe, I sure would like to know how it turned out, and maybe someday we can share one together. Until next time, I love you. Have fun. Be productive, be kind, and be patient. Goodbye for now.